Hi, everyone. I'm Mac, the Gray Skeptic, and I'm here with Kyle Curtis tonight, the host of the Non-Sequitur show, or co-host. This is our sixth episode of Atheist Flashback, and I'm very excited to have Kyle here. He's been watching my channel for some reason. On
good. It's good. I watch it because it's good. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't watch it.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You are making time to come here and sit down with me and have a
Sure.
fun.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So what can you tell us about yourself a little bit, Curtis?
I co-host the Non-Sequitur show. It is a show that is centered around debates and discussions, tinfoilery, as I like to call it, where you have to kind of aliens, Bigfoot, conspiracies, you name it. We kind of run the gambit, and that's really the theme of the show in and of itself, is that our tagline is never follow, which non sequitur means it does not follow. So if you go back and you look at every episode that we do, they don't follow in any particular order. One week I'll give you an example. Last night we had Dave Murphy, who was a flat earther, a sovereign citizen, and interestingly enough, a urine advocate. And let that sink in. And then tonight we had two doctors, a PhD, an MD, and they were talking about evolution and creation. So within those two, there is nothing alike. We don't really have a theme that runs through the show. It's just, if it's interesting, we'll talk about it and try to give the opposing side, so that, because I think it's important that people have those kind of conversations, even if it makes you uncomfortable, even if it's something that you don't like or agree with. I don't care. I like it. If it's interesting, I want to know about it. So I feel that if that's not your thing, just don't watch.
Right. And I feel like those kinds of conversations are important because we're all people, and even if we don't agree, we should still be able to talk to each other or know how.
Absolutely.
So how well is your podcast doing right now? Because from what I know, it's doing incredibly well, isn't it?
Yeah, it unexpectedly so. And when we first started this project, I guess you could call it, it was originally just going to be a podcast where we weren't going to focus so much on the YouTube aspect of it. It was mainly for like the Apple Podcasts and Google, and then you have like we're on Spotify and iHeartRadio. That's kind of our focus. But we uploaded a couple episodes, and it started getting a little bit of traction, not very much. And when we started doing the debates on there is when it really kind of exploded, I guess you could say. In 5 months, we've almost hit 7.5 thousand subscribers, which is amazing and unbelievable. We didn't, that I was not expecting that. And there's a lot that comes with that, because you get an increase of what you're doing. And now we're doing streams every single night. We have a show every night up until the middle of June. And I mean, every night, like not a night off. So and with the subject matter that we cover, since we do so much, half of it, I have no idea what they're talking about half the time. Half of it, I just sit there and wait for my opportunity to throw in a bullshit line. Can you cuss on here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go
okay.
for it.
All right. I just want to make sure. But I sit and wait for my opportunity to throw in some kind of line just to remind people that I'm there. But some of the subject matter is deep. Some of it I'm all about and I'm into, especially the religious stuff. When we get into the sciencey stuff, except for space, I can hang out with space. But yeah, it just covers so many topics that it can be daunting sometimes, but it's a lot of fun. And the people that we're meeting along the way, the guests that we have, the people who watch and can make it through some of the entire episodes, especially the flat Earth ones, I'm in awe of. So I really appreciate all the people that are watching and all the support we get, because it's a lot of fun. I mean, as a content creator yourself, it's a lot of fun, and it can be addicting, and you just got to stay humble and thankful to the people that take the time out of their day to watch you, because they could be watching someone else, and for them to, you know, watch something that you're doing, I think is probably the most flattering thing that anybody can do. So I'm very appreciative and thankful that I have the opportunity that I do.
Yeah, it really is. It really is so nice to have those people take their time to watch us.
Absolutely.
I really enjoy your show. I just like to say,
thank you.
I cannot keep
all of them.
Yeah, all of them. No, the last one that I watched pretty much the whole thing of was the Egyptology one.
Oh yeah. She'll be back. She'll be back on the 31st, and the one that we did 2 nights ago on the Covenant, where it's a long story, but if you go back and watch it, there's a guy who thinks that he's kind of cracked where people turned a ancient king into a god, and he lists a bunch of examples of why that is, but it makes sense to me. And it's weird because everything that he talks about is a link between 4 of the shows that we've done, and then a Bible study that we did with the Godless Iowan. They all kind of weirdly fit. I know it sounds strange, but they all kind of weirdly fit together. Yeah. So we're having him come on with Digital Hammurabi and Maggie, who's the Egyptologist, and then Dr. Stephen DeMattei, to kind of see if we can get to the bottom of what that is. But it's kind of like a Da Vinci Code almost. I feel like I'm in.
So cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for giving us such a great description of it. And if anyone who's watching right now hasn't checked out the Non-Sequitur show, it's like the best podcast that there is out there. So.
If anybody out there has not checked it out, don't, because you'll never be the same.
You won't ever be the same. But
it will shake you. It will shake you to your core. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I leave, and at the end of the show, you just have to take a second. You just have to be like, whew, you just went through that. You know, it's an experience. That's for sure.
Flatter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. After last night, I keep making the mistake of saying that I've seen it all and it cannot be topped. And every time I say that, I regret saying that. So I've learned not to ever say that again, ever, because every single time it happens.
I've heard you say that multiple times.
See what I mean?
We'll see.
See what I mean?
It's fun. Cool. All right. Well, if anyone doesn't know, another freaking atheist is here, Don, and he's in the live chat, because if you don't already know, I suck at checking my live chat and having a conversation at the same time.
I don't watch it either. When I do the show, I can't, because it'll distract me too much.
Yeah, I can't multitask like that. But I do have my drink, my ice cream's in the freezer if we need it for rant time.
I was getting ready to ask about that. What flavor?
Oh, I got the Heath one again, actually.
Excellent. Good choice. I myself am I fall prey to ice cream every time. I used to be close to 300 pounds at one time. I was a big fella. And I had to give up a lot of things that I liked, but the one thing that you will have to pry out of my cold, dead hands is ice cream. Yeah, it's never going away.
Yeah, I feel you. I was blessed by this universe with having the fastest metabolism.
And you poor fella.
I know.
Life must be so difficult.
I know. So, yeah. So I got that going for me. Anyways, let's get this started then. So Kyle, I guess you're a theist again. You're an independent Baptist.
Oh, do I really have to be?
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yes.
It'll be fun. So
independent. It's going to be really hard for me to. I will break character. I'm just going to go ahead and warn you.
That's the funnest part, though.
I have worked hard to block this part of my life out. So resurrecting it, no pun intended, is going to be very difficult. So, but yes, I'm a theist, an independent Baptist, to be more exact.
All right. Well, first question I'd like to ask is, do you drink?
No, absolutely not. That would be a sin. And even though the Bible says that Jesus turned water into wine, it was not the kind of wine that you're used to having today. What
was different about it?
I'm just going by what my pastor says.
Okay. All right. Well, too bad your pastor's not here. What can you tell me about your pastor? What kind of views does he have?
My pastor is a KJV only, hellfire and brimstone pastor. He gets very excited, easily agitated. If you're talking in the pews, he will stare you down until you quit talking and you know that you did wrong. Interesting guy because he yells at certain parts in the sermon that normally you wouldn't think people could yell about, like when reading happy verses like Psalms. Very, very personable, very, very, very make you feel like you're the center of the universe when you're talking to him. Nosy, likes to know everything about everyone that goes on. But I think a nice guy. Deep down, I think he preaches a little bit too much on the hell stuff and not enough on the love stuff. But that's just me.
Gotcha. Have you always felt that way? That last part, how he could preach a little more on the love stuff?
Sure. Independent Baptists are right of Southern Baptists. So if you experience Southern Baptists and you think I could do with a little bit more conservatism than what I'm getting now, you would go Independent Baptist because they're, I don't want to say extreme, because when you think extreme, you think, well, I guess it could be extra negative, but they're more extreme than Southern Baptists in that they take more things literally and more seriously. So I think that could go to every Southern Baptist and Independent, that they could preach a little bit more on the love side than the hell side. I think the main objective in that is to scare people into religion. And I don't think that that is sustainable in the long run. I think that you have to, if you're going to do religion, you need to focus more on the love parts than the hell parts. But that's just me again.
Yeah, and I mean every Christian sect is going to say something different on it.
Sure.
But so I guess what I really want to figure out is not only what makes your branch of Christianity different, but what makes your branch of Baptists different, like specifically. So what you said that you take the Bible more literally than the Southern Baptists. Can you give me a couple examples?
I think that let me backtrack on that. I don't want to say that they take it more literally in the sense of that Southern Baptists don't believe kind of the same way that Independent Baptists do. The difference between the two mostly lies within how the church itself is structured, not so much on the interpretations of the Bible. Now, Independent Baptists tend to be a little bit more preachy and a little bit more hellfire-ish than your normal Baptist. But the big difference and why they are a different sect, or not sect, but a different branch altogether, is because Southern Baptists are networked, if you will. Like they have conferences. There's, the Southern Baptist is a big network of Southern Baptist churches. They make up the Southern Baptist Conference. Independent Baptists are Baptist churches that don't want to be a part of that. Like the Southern Baptists will send out like Sunday school material, and you kind of have everybody on the same wavelength almost. Like they use material that is put forth by the Southern Baptist Church. It's kind of like a corporate almost office, and they send it out to all these different churches. Independent churches want to be their own entity. They don't want to have, you know, a conference that they're attached to. They want to preach whatever they want to do. If they feel like doing something this Sunday, they want to do something completely opposite the next Sunday, they do that. Now, once again, they tend to be a little bit more on the scare you into hell issue. But those would be the major issues between the two. So doctrine-wise, there's not that much difference. A little bit, but not much. The main difference lies in how the church itself is structured organizationally.
Okay. Well, then I want to get down to the beliefs, the interpretations of the Bible. Mm-hmm. Like I have a specific set of questions I like to ask on those.
Sure.
And I like to start at the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth, and mm-hmm. The earth was created, and everything on it in like 6 days. So, how literal do you guys take that?
Absolutely, 100% literally. That was the gospel, so to speak. He created everything in those 6 days, rested on the seventh day. Adam and Eve. Adam was brought forth from the dirt. He created Eve as a helper out of Adam's rib. That was how it went. God spoke and it happened. The Big Bang was, I go back to the church signs that churches put up there. And mm-hmm. Ours one time said, even if there was a Big Bang, it was God spoke and bang, it happened.
Yeah. God bang.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely literal, 100%.
Okay. And then what about the forbidden fruit, the tree of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
How literal do you guys take that? Did Eve eat an apple? Did she eat a fruit? What's your thoughts?
It was a fruit from the tree of oh man, I'm being a bad theist. I can't even remember if it's if it was the tree of knowledge or the tree of life.
Yeah.
But yeah, whichever tree it was, she definitely ate it because the snake told her to.
Okay. And that's very literal. That's not any kind of interpretation there.
Oh no. That book, every sentence is exactly the way that it happened. Hands down.
Okay. And now, is that how you guys see most of just Genesis, or most books of the Bible?
All of it.
Okay. All right.
Every 66 books is the gospel.
Cool. And it's only a parable if Jesus points out that it's a parable?
I'd have to agree with that.
Okay. Cool. And the Noah's flood, definitely a worldwide flood then?
Oh yeah, 100%. Now we do not follow the Kent Hovind and Ken Ham version of dinosaurs on the ark. No, we don't. And it's interesting because I don't know how we square fossils. I never asked when I guess we should talk about this later, but remind me about this point, because even whenever my doubt period started, I never asked about fossils, and I should have. Looking back, I should have found out from people in the church where those fossils came into place, but it was just something that's not talked about. I mean, fossils exist. How they fit into the equation, have no idea. But they were not on the ark, because I remember a kid in my Sunday school class one time asked that question: where did they put the dinosaurs? And I remember the answer being that the dinosaurs were too big to go on the ark. So,
and that's why they're not alive anymore.
But might be. There you go. Well,
yep.
I should rethink my direction in life now. It changes everything.
I'm not sure where it is, and I don't know how much of the Bible you have memorized. But the Bible does speak of the four corners of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks of it being flat, but it does speak of it having four corners. So
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I couldn't tell you where it's at either, but with us, we take that to mean if you are someone that's living back in ancient times and I don't think that anybody back then had a concept of flat or round earth. I mean, I really don't. I think when you don't have that kind of concept, because you can only see what's around you, and generally people didn't move very much. You know, they stayed in their cities at that particular time. And when they say four corners of the earth, I think that they're meaning like what they can see. I think it was more of a metaphor than literally. Now, I know some people take it literally, but a flat earth was also never anything that was talked about in our church. And honestly, I didn't know flat earth was a thing until I started on YouTube. I had no idea what that was a thing, and I thought that was fake. I really did. Steve and I had a conversation, I remember distinctly, before our first episode, and he was telling me how somebody was going to have a debate with a flat earther. And I remember going, how much effort does it take to pretend the earth is flat? And he said, oh, no, they're not pretending. And I was amazed that's a thing. And to this day, it's growing. Like it's not declining, it's growing. And
right.
That's just, it's crazy to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Until I started watching the Great Debate Community, like back in December or January.
It's frightening.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Because at first I'm like, that's weird, but then when like you said, it's growing. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, now it's scary. It's not weird anymore. It's just freaking scary.
It is. And people ask, I get messages all the time. Why are you giving, flat earthers a platform? Why do you keep having these kind of discussions? And I always say that if you go and you watch those discussions that we have with flat earthers, and you see the people that we have that have the discussions with a flat earther, and you see what they bring in terms of science and evidence, and then you listen to the flat earther. If you then still decide that you want to be a flat earther, there's no help for you. You know what I mean? Like, all we can do is battle it by giving people who know science and know evidence. And I don't think it's giving them a platform. I think it's, to me, if you're on the fence about whether the earth is flat or not, you might as well just jump on over to the flat earth side, because there shouldn't be any type of question about it. And after you listen to those kind of things and you hear both sides, if you still go over to the flat earth side, then you just want to do it because you like to be a provocateur. You like that clique. You want to be a part of something that's dangerous and edgy. Yeah. And it's not about what shape the earth is, because ultimately, Mac, would it change your life if the earth was flat right now?
I feel like it would change the way I look at life.
In what way?
Because I feel like if the earth is flat, then that would mean there is some big conspiracy. Then it would change the way that I have to look at the world then.
Yeah, but if
flat, but yeah.
But if you didn't, like, if it was always flat, if you didn't have a concept of there being a globe earth, like, would your life be different right now if this was a flat earth you were on?
No.
So, I mean, of all the conspiracies, of all the cool shit that they could cover up and hide and lie about, why the shape of the earth? I mean, it's just the dumbest conspiracy on the planet. It really is.
There's no reason for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but
no, it's fine. It's fine.
You triggered me with the four corners. Corners.
I should have known that was going to happen with you. That does give me another question that you can answer either way. Is because you said some people ask why you have them on and have these kind of conversations with people like that, or just people with some of the radical views that they come on your show with. What do you think of Dave Rubin, the Rubin Report?
Um, I've only seen one thing with Dave Rubin. He's not somebody that I follow, and I can't remember how or who he was with that I watched a few minutes of. He's not somebody that I know much, if anything, about. Just from he had somebody on that I think that I liked, and I watched a couple of minutes of that. But fill me in. What's he? I know who you're talking about. I know who the guy is, but does he hold some kind of like crazy view or something?
Not really. I know that I've heard a little bit here and there in our community about him and how some people like him, some people don't. But I think you're going to find that with someone like him. He has his own show, and he has people from every standpoint come on his show and just chat with him, and he just really just gives them a platform. And he's like, it doesn't matter if I adhere to their beliefs or not. He really loves the idea of free speech, and he's just like, I don't care what it is they have to say. They should have the right to say it, whether I like it or not. And
yeah, it sounds like I would like him then. I'm the same way. Like I don't care if somebody has crazy ideas, and I don't care if they're viewed as unpopular or uninteresting by some or crazy by others.
Yeah,
I like having those kind of conversations, and everybody's different. I think that's what the most beautiful thing about life is that no one thinks the same, no one acts the same, no one has the same ideas, but it takes everybody to kind of make life, worthwhile. If you think about the guy who, if you go back several years, said, I want to create something that will fly in the air like the birds. Back in the times, he would have been laughed out of the room. But thankfully, we had somebody that didn't give a shit if people wanted to hear him or not. He was going to create something that flew like the birds. And you have people that do have batshit crazy ideas, but they're interesting. Like the Bigfoot guy. I don't believe in Bigfoot, and just because I'm talking to somebody that believes in Bigfoot is not going to harm anyone or cause any kind of plagues or anything like that. He's just a guy that's got a weird view, and to me that's interesting. Hearing about the 12-foot Bigfoot that came down a mountain, as he watched the 12-foot Bigfoot come towards him, jumped over his head, and then later that night while he was camping stole his tent. Didn't do anything else but just took the tent off of where he was laying. And that's funny and interesting, and it was a great story. And do I believe it? No. But was it interesting? Absolutely.
So jumping back on track a little bit.
Sorry about that.
But I'll segue into it. As a Christian, would you believe that Bigfoot story?
No.
No?
Absolutely not. Not a chance.
Now, would you believe in Bigfoot at all? Is that why, or just his story crazy?
No Bigfoot at all. No Bigfoot, no aliens, nothing that defies what is laid out in that book. It could be an alien because aliens have to be from other planets, and God didn't send his son Jesus to die for Earth and other planets. It just says here. So the fact that there could be aliens out there would kind of disprove what we believe a little bit.
I feel like you're right. I had the same ideas, but I'm interested to hear your reasoning on. You believe that dinosaurs existed, right?
Yes.
Okay, but not Bigfoot.
Right. We have proof in terms of fossils with dinosaurs. That would be my answer to that. As far as I know, there's not a Bigfoot fossil anywhere.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen one either, so I'm not convinced. But
that does not mean that there is not one. I am Bigfoot agnostic, I would say.
As am I. But yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to hear. Okay. The Tower of Babel. Maybe Don knows. Where was that? Was that
Babylon.
Okay, yeah. Duh. Duh. Because see, I get Sodom and Gomorrah and the story of the
Yeah,
Tower. Confused
that's because they're
sometimes.
right next to each other in the book.
That's probably why. But yeah, so um, do you think it is right that God destroyed the Tower of Babel, rained down fire and brimstone on
I'm still
Sodom?
answering as a Christian, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's hard for me to my
Oh,
logic side is going, what are you doing? Absolutely. Anything God decides to do is just and right. And I am a creation of his. Who am I to question the decisions that he makes?
okay. All right. Then moving on to Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
All those, what was it, 7 plagues that Moses and God cast down upon Egypt? I'm not going to ask you to cite them all,
I'm a
but
bad theist. I think it was
percent.
yeah, I think it was 7.
Okay.
Sure. 7's enough. Like if it was higher, then 7's enough. Let's stick with 7.
I feel like we're too much, but I don't know.
Stick with 7. That sounds good.
Yeah, 7. So you believe all of those literal?
Absolutely. 100%.
And then 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Don, for the yes. And right there in the side chat. My
pastor's going to be so pissed.
I hope he's not watching.
I hope he is.
Staring at you right now. Do you feel like you've done something?
I hope he is. Secretly.
So the 40 years. This is a little bit newer to me because I didn't go through Exodus as much as I think I am now on Godless Engineers channel on like Exodus and like Numbers. But that 40 years, when they're going to the Promised Land,
mm-hmm.
God really stretched it out for them. He added a lot of like stipulations to that deal. I pointed out in a video that I haven't released yet, where someone says, you know, God always keeps his promises. I'm like, well, yeah, like a genie. He's like, you'll get your wish, but then there's a lot of consequences. And
that's a good point. Well, they messed up somehow. I can't remember how, but they did something to where they were punished, and that punishment was 40 years. I can't remember off the top of my head what they did exactly, but they did something to make their trip so long because it should have only taken them. I want to say like, well, I'm not going to say that because that'll probably be wrong, but it shouldn't have taken them 40 years. It shouldn't have taken them a year, I don't think, but they screwed up somehow.
Right. And I've heard that like single file with as many Hebrews as they had, just the men could have had like a foot or two, like 2 feet between them each. And before the last one left Egypt, they'd already be in Israel or wherever they were going.
That doesn't surprise me. Once again, it's very hard for me to keep my theist face because saying that, yes, I believe this wholeheartedly when I'm in my, nowadays mode, is kind of hard to stay in character. It's hard to agree that these things really happened. But yes, it took 40 years to go through the desert and finally find the promised land. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Yes. But see, I think that's fair to a point only because a lot of times I was that kind of theist, and I knew a lot about what I knew about in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, I don't know, there were probably still 60 books that I did not know in and out.
That's because they don't want you to. Same thing with me. You learn the stories that don't paint the Bible in a, like for me, until I became an atheist, never heard anything about the slave thing. Never heard anything about the rule where, you know, a rapist can marry the person they attacked. You just don't hear about those bad things about the Bible. And why would you? You know, why would you do a sermon on why God endorsed slavery or rape? It just wouldn't make any sense. But when you hear those things and you look at it, I think it takes a lot to swallow that and still be okay with calling yourself that. I mean, ultimately, like if that is in there, which it is, and if that book is 100%, you know, holy and inspired by God, is that really a God that you want to spend an eternity worshiping?
Right. And that's really kind of what got me out of it more.
Yeah.
At it. A lot of people don't like jumping into the moral argument, but I feel like it's kind of easy for me.
It is. It is easy.
Yeah. But
you're talking about when people say that you, like, they don't know where your morals come from and all that? Like, as an atheist, how do you get morals, or where do you get morals from?
Right, yeah. Where do you get moral from? How can you judge God on his morals?
Yeah, that's
what makes you better than God. And just like,
forgive me, that's a bullshit argument. What makes me better than God is that I don't endorse rape or slavery. That's number one. So you're defeated right there. But you, they claim that there are absolute morals and that there are, it's inspired by God, and God has revealed things to them that only they can know through God. What it is it's a bullshit way of getting out of the real argument by saying that, oh, it's revealed to me, only I can know it. As an atheist, you can't. Well, sure we can. We know that doing the most good and trying to be kind and having empathy is a lot better than harm. We know that because we don't want to be harmed. You know, we don't want to. We don't kill because we don't want to be killed. It's an evolutionary process that has ensured that the human race has survived as long as it has. If we went around killing and raping, then we wouldn't be here. And it's funny to me how you get the basis of, well, if we didn't have God to back up those morals, then who knows what we would do? Well, I know what we would do. We would still be the same. It's scary to think that the only thing keeping people from, raping and murdering is a God. And then if he said it was okay, would that be moral? I don't think so. But you won't get them to answer that question because it goes against his nature. He would never do that. Well, he did. He did back then.
Yeah, especially in the numbers. And that threw me like through a loop. I was just like, when he orders to go kill this village or
a whole race.
Yeah, and then make sure. No, hey, hold on. You left the women and children. Well, go kill the women and children, except the little girls. You can keep them for yourselves.
He killed all of them. The Amalekites, he killed all of them.
All of them.
You have people who will try to say that, well, actually, I was having a debate with on morality with G-Man a couple weeks ago, and
fun.
We brought a lot of fun. We brought this. G-Man's in the hospital now, so I do wish G-Man a speedy recovery. I'm not gonna talk bad about G-Man since he's in the hospital, but it was a tense debate, and I remember bringing that up. I remember asking about the Amalekites, and it's almost sickening to hear somebody defend that by saying, well, they would have grown up to be adults, and they would have extracted their revenge on everyone for killing their fathers. And I said, every one of them? Well, we have no way of knowing. Okay, so why kill them all? Why kill the children? And I say that to draw a distinction between us and them. They will defend that action because it's coming from Sky Daddy. Sky Daddy says so, therefore let's make it sound decent and good. Whereas we, no matter who said that, would never try. I would never defend that ever. My answer would always be fuck that person, no matter who it was, God or anybody. If you demand that an entire race of people be killed, fuck you. Period.
Yeah. Again, it just doesn't matter who you are. You could be God.
Exactly. Yeah, my morals are better than that.
Yeah, and that right there is what I like to quickly tie into. If God can't mess with free will, if He gives us free will, but then doesn't let you use it by being like, "Oh, well, they all would have been awful."
Well, the idea,
awful, so let him be awful. If He can't mess with it, then you can't mess with it. That's a contradiction right there.
Christopher Hitchens said it best with free will. We have free will because the boss said so. You know, you don't have a choice. If you have free will, think about this. If you really have free will, or if you think you really have free will given by God, did you have a choice in getting that free will?
Right.
No, you didn't. And is that really free will? Is it free will if somebody lets you have it? You know, can at any moment they take it away?
Right.
You don't know. He doesn't say that he won't.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm not sure if you know, but I also teach martial arts on my days off.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so we go through a little bit of philosophy here and there with like
philosophy while you're getting your ass kicked. Great.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, like we throw people and then we sit down and we talk about it. So,
do you go through why you threw each other the way you did? Now look, if you think about it this way, solipsism. Solipsism.
But just touching on a little bit of on philosophy in a class now, just throws me into or like off on this tangent that I can't help anymore because I watch you people like all the time.
I'm not a philosopher. I am not a philosopher by any means. I probably break I don't know how many fallacies every night. I'm just somebody that thinks in a certain way, and I put it out there. I cannot call myself a philosopher because I don't adhere to there's certain rules and stuff that you do in philosophy, and that's just not me. But
yeah, and it's not that was never really me either. But Steve McRae, man, he kind of blew my mind a little bit with the philosophy because like I was pretty much convinced that philosophy is useless before I listened to Steve McRae. I'm like, okay, no,
there still might be an argument for that, but Steve McRae is definitely a very smart man. Very smart man. Smart up until you get to talk about colors and triangles, and then he kind of he loses his edge a little bit there. But other than that, he's if you think that Steve McRae exists at all, he had a hangout 2 days ago with people who didn't think that he existed. Yeah, I always screw that up because he always corrects me, but he's not here to fix it. So I'm going to go with they don't believe he exists. It's either they don't think he exists or they don't believe he exists. One of the two. But
I saw it pop up, but I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Yeah, that's when you take philosophy too far. In my book, when you have hangouts on whether or not you exist, it's time to take a step back from the philosophy and go cook a chicken or play bingo or solitaire, something other than philosophy.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, because what him and the great debate community did for me was help me realize that there's a difference between a philosopher and a troll.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's now, garbage.
You have trolls that pose as philosophers.
Yeah.
Darwin's deity would be the poster boy for that, I think.
Who's that you said?
Darwin's deity.
Oh, okay.
Do you know that? You know who that is?
I feel like I've seen him on Twitter.
Oh, you haven't? Because if you did, you would remember him. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, do that. I'll check
you wouldn't forget him.
All right. Fun. Quick, what I was going to say was the free will thing. I brought that up during class 2 times now in like the last month. And one of the people that I teach is a special ed teacher. She's sitting there and she's like, she's like trying to process what I'm throwing at her, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm spending too much time looking at philosophies for some unsaid reason thus far.
What'd you throw at her?
I don't remember how we got into it, but we got into the free will thing, where I'm just like, do we have free will, or is everything that you choose predetermined by your past, what you had for breakfast, how you're feeling today, pressure in the atmosphere, just like everything around you. And she's like, no, I think we have free will. I'm just like, are you absolutely sure? And
tell me you threw her. Tell me you put her in a full Nelson after she said that, right?
Say what?
You put her in a full Nelson after she said that, right? I hope.
Yeah.
A good opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. And so we touched base on it a little bit. We stayed a little bit after class. Like we had to bow out and then go sit on the floor over here while the Pee-wee started. But yeah, I just couldn't help myself.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you taught that.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm hoping and looking into opening my own school here, maybe at the end of the year.
Are you a black belt?
Yeah. I'm a second degree in Hapkido, first degree in Dodan Jiu-Jitsu, and a first degree in Jishinru Karate Jitsu.
There for about 6 months I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, I think my next to the last time that I did it, we had just got our gis, and we did 2 days a week with our gis, and then 2 days just regular clothes. And I got put in a chokehold where the guy took my. It's hard to. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but you grab both sides of the gi and you kind of come up, but you use the gi as a way to do that, and that was it for me.
Cross. We usually use our knuckles for it instead of the gi.
But, the guy showed the move, like it was a move we were learning or whatever. But you get behind the person and you're kind of rocking them backwards, and you pull that gi over there. That was it for me. I had enough jujitsu at that point.
How long were you in it then? Before you did that?
A lot longer than I wanted to be.
Oh yeah.
A lot longer.
Yeah. We don't get to chokes until like the 34th belt rank in any of the arts that we do. So at that point, you're pretty sure on whether or not you want to be there.
Yeah, 6 months was about all I could do.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, it's really not for everyone, and you don't use it every day, like you may have back when they started.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. It's a great way to stay in shape.
It was. That was the good thing that came out of it. But almost getting choked out was, you decide things that you get to a certain point and you realize that they're just not for you. And jiu-jitsu is just not for me. Yeah. If it came down to me getting choked out like that every night, or how these guys do it, as a career, nope.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate to have a really, really fantastic instructor and set of instructors.
You're probably also good at it, which is something that I wasn't either, so that helps too.
Maybe. I couldn't say. But yeah, so it helps if one, you're in it for a while, you want to be there, and then two, that like you have decent people teaching you things, because sometimes you just get those people teaching you who are just like, I'm gonna punch you like until you stop crying. Just like, that's not quite how we go about things.
I have to admit, I initially did it, I think, so I could say that I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Like just now, this is one of the reasons why I went into it in the first place, to be able to say, oh yeah, I used to do jiu-jitsu as well.
It's fun for conversation though, and it's
and your image.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, he used to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I was also in the closet then, so that was a way of me keeping that image, or keeping that facade up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Um, all right. Well, jumping back into theist mode, at least for you. I'm gonna say a dirty atheist. Um, trying to remember where we were. All right. So we touched on Exodus. We touched on Numbers. Um, do you know anything about Ezekiel?
No.
No. There's one part in it where God comes to Ezekiel and he's on like this. He's in the air with something with like wings, this like rotating like wheels, and it has four heads, like a lion, a lamb, and something else.
What?
Yeah, it's strange, and how it was um, described to me, or kind of dumbed down to me, was that that's what UFOs are.
This is the Ezekiel in the Bible, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, yes. And I was wondering if you had heard anything like that.
Mac, you hadn't been smoking anything tonight, have you?
Not tonight. Okay. No, actually, not at all.
This is actually the first time I've ever heard of this.
Yeah,
honestly.
Let me look at it real quick then.
I'm actually interested in this. Please tell me that there is a lion-headed UFO in the Bible. That will just make this book even better.
I would love to. Because it's worded odd, obviously.
No kidding. Not the Bible.
The Bible? Yeah, it's in the first couple chapters of Ezekiel. That was really one of the last things that I had really studied really hard was Ezekiel. Oh, cool. Found it. All right. Ezekiel 1. I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of Joachim's captivity. I probably said that wrong. The word of God came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river of Kibar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And here's the fun stuff. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the mist thereof, as the color of amber, out of the mist of the fire. And amber, like I was told, it's like a metallic amber.
Not like 311's amber?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's and like to get you kind of envision what I was supposed to envision, or like how we took this, was like kind of like Independence Day. How like it's like a comet coming in like a fireball, and then metallic.
Mm-hmm. Basically. I feel you.
Also out of the mist thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on the 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings. I know
what it's talking about now.
Huh?
I know what it's talking about now.
Cool.
Hang gliders.
What is it?
Hang gliders.
Hang gliders. Mm-hmm. Hang gliders back then. And yeah, so it really goes on to like, for like the whole chapter, describing what he saw come out of the clouds.
I think he ate a mushroom. I think that's the simplest answer for that. I think that he ate a mushroom and wrote down what he saw.
I think you're probably right.
I think that's more believable than he actually saw this come out of the sky. I mean,
right.
Come on.
And I'm trying to find where it said how it was rotating or whatever. But there were the likeness of four creatures or whatnot.
You'd think when they sat down to actually decide what's in the Bible, they would take out the batshit crazy parts, but apparently not. They just threw it all in.
You would think so, but it looks like they hadn't. So what's your theist take on that little bit of that chapter that I just read you?
He saw what he saw.
He saw what he saw?
If the book says that he saw what he saw. Now the real me is like, that's fucking stupid, but
it's crazy.
The old me.
Yeah. The wheels were lifted up. Yeah, so there is stuff of wheels here, but anyway.
Do you know what they claim that is? Like how they explain that?
I only know what my church, because my church really went like chapter by chapter, verse by verse. That was their thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And also, I never really went to church. Our church was actually broadcasted. So our church was in Arkansas. I live in Ohio. I only got to meet the pastor one time when I went to be baptized in high school.
What part of Ohio?
I live in Northwest Ohio. You know where like Toledo is?
No. How far from Lakewood?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Cleveland?
Cleveland is the other side of the state.
Okay.
I'm really on like the far west side. I'm
gotcha.
only 20 minutes probably from the Indiana state line.
Gotcha. Lakewood, Lakewood's like 5 minutes outside of Cleveland.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just curious.
Okay.
But that's convenient, and it's great of the church, but that means that you had the option to not tune in. You know, it's not like a church where they're going to notice you're not there.
Yeah.
You had to actively tune into that, so you were deep into it then.
Yeah, a bit. And I was homeschooled for 8 years too. So
okay.
One of our subjects was Bible study.
Gotcha.
We could count that in our hours that we turned into the state.
I have so many questions. Sorry. Look, it's hard. It's hard when you host a show and you're used to being the one asking the questions instead of the one getting asked questions. Because my brain is geared to based on what people say, ask questions. But I just have one.
Yeah.
What do your obviously your parents schooled you? I think for a religious reason, right?
Actually, no. I was actually pretty bullied in school because I was quite the nerd.
Okay. But they were religious though, right?
Oh yeah.
How are they taking it?
Not as well as I'd like, obviously. They're pretty disappointed, but they are like, well, we still love you kind of thing.
Good.
And my mom's taking it better than I thought. My dad's taking it worse than I thought. He's looking at me now like I looked at some of my friends when I found out that they're atheists. I'm like, oh shoot, that means you're not going to exist in the next Earth age, or you're going to burn in hell kind of idea.
Yeah.
And like, I'll really miss you.
Yeah. Like, do they know what you do, like in terms of your channel here?
I don't think they know about my channel.
Okay.
But my dad found my Twitter.
I'm sure they do know, or they don't know, because if they did, you'd probably hear about it.
Right.
Your dad found your Twitter?
Yeah. My dad found my Twitter, and I found out from my brother when I was going to tell him that I'm an atheist. Like, I made a joke. It was because I don't have a lot of time to listen to music anymore, because I listen to everyone's YouTube channel and the Non-Sequitur show. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I like
music will probably make you happier.
It's okay. Like most people, like not want me to listen to my music anyways. Like I'm into like T Swift and like Ed Sheeran, and people hate me. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I love me some Ed Sheeran.
yeah.
By the way, do you know the song that Designer Panda does? It's a rap song, but it's called Panda.
I don't know it, but I can look it up.
Oh, it's a rap song, but Ed Sheeran did an awesome cover of it. So if you haven't listened to it, you need to listen to it. But
I will do that. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I made the joke of I don't listen to much music anymore because it's the work of the devil. And we laughed for a second. He's like, I thought you were an atheist. And I'm like,
yeah.
Just gonna tell you. Hold on. What?
But the devil has such good taste.
He does. He has so much.
Such good taste.
So that's how that came about. I'm like, how'd you whatever? And he said, oh, that found your Twitter account, you idiot. I'm like, oh, thanks. Great. My dad's been on Twitter for like a couple of years, and I just made it in December or January to get networked with people.
Yeah. When did you come out to them?
I came out to them in February.
Recently?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, it'll get a lot better.
Yeah.
It'll get a lot better.
Yeah.
The sting is still new there.
Yeah, it's still kind of stinging them, and but they're taking it pretty well.
Good.
My brother likes to pick on me about it, like it's a real stupid thing that I'm into or something right now. It's like
he'll come around.
Yeah, he'll come around. Like we'll have a discussion at some point. But
I know a good show for you to do that on.
Yeah. Well, at any point, if you want to know more about my goofy UFO religion, I'd be happy to come on there and explain myself.
Yeah, that'd be good. Did you say UFO is in what we just read? I was thinking you were talking about you actually believe like Scientologists, the UFOs. Now that would be just gold.
Not quite. But yeah. So that kind of UFO stuff, and I got a lot of goofy stuff in my religion. Like
everyone does. That's why we will never run out of content ever.
Oh yeah. And anyways, jumping back into you. I want to know more about the more controversial stuff in like politics now. So like abortion and gay rights and kind of like divine racism. Where does all of that lie?
You said
I'm sorry?
Did you say divine racism?
Yeah, or like
what is
whites are better than anyone else because God whatever.
Oh no. That would I couldn't even if there were people in my church that believed that, I could never, when I was a theist, ever think that. I was raised that you don't see color, you see stupid, so I don't I never looked at anyone any different because they were different color any differently than I did anyone else. It was just not a thing that me or my brother were taught to ever see. My parents were really big into that. When something was on TV and, if it's or a rap song or whatever, if it said the N word, then it was instantly turned off. And we were explained that that's a word that is used to demean a group of people that we did something very bad to a long time ago. So I never saw anybody of any color any different. Still don't to this day. I think it's sickening and disgusting. And if anybody at my church would ever have any feelings that they would voice that kind of, posture, they would instantly have an earful from me, at least. That's one issue I'm not silent on. If there's any sense of racism, I will tear you down to nothing in a heartbeat. And I've always been that way. Even as a theist, I was that same way too. So definitely no divine racism. Abortion, no, definitely not. It's a life at since you get done. If there's something, if you have a kid that, or when the sperm meets the egg, that's a human life, and you're not supposed to snuff out human life. So that was a big no. I actually remember a trip that we were going to do as a youth group to an abortion clinic, and they were going to protest. Thankfully, and I look back now, and my mom the night before was overly like, we need to go see your grandma. I hadn't seen her in a long time, just pushing the issue or whatever, and kind of guilt tripped me into going to see my grandma. And I think looking back, she did that on purpose because she didn't want me to, you know, be a part of making a woman's life any more difficult by standing outside of a abortion clinic and yelling at her. Yeah. So I really thank her for that. Like that was a smart move without coming out and saying, no, I don't want you to. At that particular time, me and my parents went to a different church. I started becoming a part of a church with my best friend. We would go and I'll go to his house every Saturday night, get up, and we would go to that church. So my parents and I went to different churches, and my mom's always have a really cool mom. Like I was really blessed with my mom. She's awesome. And looking back, there are just certain times where I think she kept me from doing something that I would later regret. Like now, if I had to look back and say that I went to an abortion clinic and yelled and, you know, tried to preach to women who were getting ready to make a already difficult choice, then that would be really hard to live with. So there were several instances where she kind of, without just coming out and saying, don't go, kept me from doing that. So, and then gay rights, interesting topic. If you were to ask me back then, I would tell you that being gay is an abomination, that it is against God's nature, that it's a choice. And I would have been gay, telling you that. Knowing that I was gay, tell you that. And that's the really fucked up part about religion. And that's why I do what I do now. That's where you get that sickening kind of twisted brainwashing that allows somebody to be okay with telling somebody else that being gay is an abomination while you yourself are that abomination. And I remember when you're going through that, when you're a Christian and you're gay, you get up every day, and when you put on your clothes to go to school and you're getting ready, you also put on a mask every morning, the heavy mask, and you wear that mask around every day. Everybody you're around, every person you talk to, you've got that mask on. When you go home and you're by yourself and you're ready to crawl into bed, you can take that mask off and sleep. But anytime you're up and people are around, you have that mask on, and it gets heavy, and you think the mask is your problem. Like, the mask is your responsibility. It's there because you have it. And I remember nights where I would pray just for as long as I could until I fell asleep, that God would take that mask away, that I would be normal. I didn't want to be this way. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was something that would, if I didn't fix, would send me to hell, and I didn't want to go to hell. And I begged for him to take that mask away. It never happened. And then when I was in college, I was dating a girl for about 3 years, and I got engaged to her. I asked her to marry me, and my logic behind that was, okay, maybe he doesn't think that I'm trying hard enough. Maybe if I marry a woman, if I have kids, if I go through the motions, if I, show that I can do this, that he'll take it away then. Never happened. And then one day, I woke up and I looked at that mask, and I told that mask to fuck off, that I wasn't putting it on anymore, and I didn't give a good goddamn who didn't like it. And now you have me as I am in my fabulous glory here, preaching against the one of the only things in life that tells you to put that mask on because you're not okay the way that you are. And no, not okay anymore. And I don't think people should have to live another day or another second longer than they have to like that. And it's time to pull off those masks and be the fabulous person you are, because it's a lot better and life is beautiful and you can get through that crazy, tragic, sick brainwashing thing called religion and be a lot happier.
Yeah, you can. And it's important too, because as soon as you realize or just believe, however you want to look at it, that this religion is bullshit, then you also have to realize you don't get another chance to like live life how you want to.
Very good point.
Through the emotions, like you were trying to do, and like how countless others do, just really you ruining your own life because you think you have to.
Yeah, and there's a lot that comes with that. There's a I woke up when I was 25. Would life be different now if that were the case? Sure. You go through several years after, like there were probably 3 years afterwards that mine came with a lot though. Like mine came at a really high price. Mine came with me turning to drugs, and a lot of things came with that, and I lost a lot. And would that have happened had I not gone through the religion phase? I don't know. I don't think so. But people don't understand that when you lose something like religion that's kind of held you up for 25 years, and then when you're able to kind of grow into, or you're a totally different person. Like my day-to-day changed overnight. I went from hiding something, you know, trying to keep something in the entire time. Well, now it's out there. Well, now you're a completely different person because everything's changed. People look at you differently. People, you know, they talk to you differently. And, you know, when you go from the world that I was in to this world, they just look at you differently. So my way to respond to that, unfortunately, was I turned to drugs to, you know, make me feel something. And there was a lot that came with that. So it wrecked a big part of me. I finally got out of it and, you know, stable and okay with who I am, the way that I am, and how much time I lost. But there's a lot that comes with that. And it takes a draining toll on you. And I don't know how people that wait until they're in their 50s, 60s to come to terms with that. Because looking back, even for me, 25 years was just, that's a quarter of a century lost for what? A fictional book with a made up sky daddy. That's what cost me 25 years. That's a lot to take in.
Right. And it's because I think it was around the time I was 26 or 27 when I started to doubt my religion. And it's different for me because like I'm not gay, and but I had the religion aspect, and that like that's like that alone, as you know, losing that is kind of crazy. It really makes you wonder. Like you go through a nihilist phase, and you can go through a lot. You can turn to whatever to cope with that. My fast metabolism, I'm kind of blessed with a like ADHD and OCD that just makes me want to get shit done all the time. So if I get upset, like I'll clean the fuck out of the house, or I'll start a YouTube channel and I'll learn.
You have like the most productive responses to high stress situations. You can eat all you want. You have a clean house and a YouTube channel. Oh, the despair, the despair that comes with that.
Yeah, the only thing that's detrimental with that is like I have a full-time job. I do have a YouTube channel. I teach martial arts. I have a wife. I have 2 kids. So whenever I get stressed, I tend to stress myself out more and everyone around me because I just make myself busier. So that's that.
You respond to stress by being productive.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah. But
meanwhile, I'm on some shady corner in downtown looking for some coke several years ago. I think you've got me beat on that.
Maybe. And you know, I wish I could share that with people, because I know it's like it's not a normal way to deal with things. But
well, for me or you?
For me, I was referring to
I think that's probably the most normal way you can respond to stress, because usually the way people respond to stress are like punching walls, doing drugs, you know, flipping out. You just have a clean house and a YouTube channel. I think you're doing okay.
I'm trying.
You're doing well.
I'm trying. I wanted to ask you though, since you went into this, do you mind if I ask you a few more personal questions?
No, not at all. Anything.
Okay. At the start of your journey there, you said one morning you just woke up and said, "Fuck this mask." What happened leading up to that? Like, did you really just wake up one day and you're like, "Oh, I don't want to put this on," or did something build up and just like?
Ultimately, yes. Where it really began was I was at youth night on a Sunday night, and some guys, when we were closing up the youth night, were watching a video of Matt Dillahunty on the Atheist Experience, and he was having the conversation about, can't remember who he was talking to, but it was on the slave thing. And I remember looking over the guy's shoulder. I still remember what it's weird because the guy that we were watching this video on his phone, I still remember the shirt that the guy had on. Like, that's how burned into my memory this scene is. I can still remember where we were and the color of the guy's shirt as I'm looking at this video. And I remember saying, "That's not true." And everybody was just kind of laughing it off. And then I went home and pulled up the video, watched it, went to the Bible verse he was referencing. It was there. I remember like double taking, like, where did this verse come? Like, when did this pop into the book? You know, is this a new edition that I didn't know about? Because you never hear about that.
You don't hear about the dirty stuff.
That's where the cracks started coming through. I remember for that next 2 weeks, watching Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra all week long just continue to destroy every single thing that I had held dear for so long. And it's really kind of cool to come full circle now, because, you know, I've had them both on my show, and it's kind of it gives you cold chills almost to see two people that brought you out of religion. Like, they're the reasons that I am me now, honestly, because if I'd have never saw that first video, who knows what would have happened. So you know, if I were more of an emotional person, I'd probably be crying right now. But I mean, it really is kind of cool that it came full circle like that. Like, I've gotten to sit across from two people that saved me, for lack of a better word, from religion. And they're really the reasons that mask came off. I had watched so many of those videos, watched so many instances of Matt Dillahunty being able to answer the calls and the questions that the Christians had, and point out things I had never seen before and never heard before. And the more that he talked and the more Aaron talked, the less and less sense that religion made. And it was just, why am I trying to, you know, fight against who I am as a person for a book that says all of this bullshit and doesn't hold up under scrutiny? And right. I just got up one morning and I said, enough's enough. Not anymore.
That's awesome. And that's, I think that's really I feel like that's how it should be. You drop religion. It's because of, look at all the bullshit that is pointed out in there. Not just maybe Jesus didn't exist, or not just I don't see signs of a flood. It's just like, wow, all of this is bullshit. It's like it's just saying it's perfect, but it's not. It's, why am I reaching for something that is so obviously not even there? Like,
I asked Matt. I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off."
that's okay. No, I was just saying, just when that moral aspect isn't there at all.
Yeah,
It's,
absolutely.
it's not even worth it if it's real. It's just,
No, it's not. Anybody, and the thing that I really struggled with was the whole, if you're somebody that is a pedophile, or you are a rapist or a murderer, you can go to prison and at any time decide that, you want to accept Jesus, and you can spend eternity in heaven. And a atheist who lives a good, decent life and doesn't harm anybody, they get roasted alive for eternity for just the simple fact of disbelief. And if that is true, that is no God that I want to worship for eternity. I mean, why would anybody? And if you boil it down, you take hell away, people still aren't going to worship the same way that they do. The ones mostly, I think, that do nowadays do it out of fear of going to hell. It's for selfish reasons.
right.
Ultimately, I mean, listen to half of the preachers on TV and stuff like that. They just goes back to the preaching of fire too much.
Yeah.
You're saving people out of fear, not out of love. And if God really did exist, it seems like he would be more focused on that aspect of it than the burning, 3/4 of the creation that you made alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, the whole thing's just crazy, really.
I just wish Dillahunty would have started the atheist experience 10 years earlier so that I could enjoy my 20s as a religious free individual. I feel like I could have had a lot more fun.
Right. Yeah, really. And I think with all the voices that we have in this community alone,
Oh yeah.
We have a chance of reaching a lot of people. And I said in a video I just sent to Don that one of the goals for my channel, and my wife laughed. She's like, "This is like, that's a heavy goal, Mac." I'm like, "I know, but it's just trying to help make atheism the norm." And I know, like, we're not just gonna like reach that, because that's no easy task. But if we can make it easier to talk about, just in casual conversation, like, "I'm an atheist." Oh, okay, that's fine. As opposed to, "Oh, now we need to have an awful conversation about how you're awful and I can never talk to you again." Then things like Matt Dillahunty's show are going to be easier to find. Like, because even if he started it 10 years ago or 10 years earlier, I still never would have found it. I would have never known what an atheist is because it's such taboo to talk about. And if we can get that taboo out of here, just the talk, just the conversation, people who would want to be atheists can come over and be atheists.
And I think it's a lot to do with the word.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, if you were to come up with a different word for it, it would probably be okay. It would be like if you called yourself, like, for instance, a skeptic. There's nothing negative attached to a skeptic, because it had for some reason atheists got tarred feathered earlier on. So people think when you say atheist, they think you're some kind of God-hating, devil-worshipping, just no morals, no kind of plan, no reason to live thing. I don't know why it's that way, but I think because of earlier, when it first was, becoming, catching on, people really actively sought to damage it by, stigmatizing that word. But I think nowadays, if you break everything down, people are coming out of the woodwork as atheists. They may not call themselves an atheist. They may call themselves something different just to break away from that stigma. But religion's only declined majorly. Church attendance is down majorly. It's the age of the internet, technology, answers at your hand, your fingertips. You can't just rely on what you hear in church Sunday anymore. Go look for yourself. Go do the research for yourself. You don't have to believe anybody.
Yeah,
you can do your own research, and you'll find that none of it holds up. It just doesn't. I mean, you can hang on to it for as long as you would like to, but all you're doing is wasting your one shot at living life at its fullest and spending it worshiping some misogynistic, homophobic, mass murdering psychopath in the sky is just not a way to live.
No, it's not. It's really not. And like you said, you're just wasting your own precious time.
Yeah.
And
YOLO.
And what? YOLO. Absolutely. Hashtag YOLO.
Stay woke.
Oh, I got to put so many hashtags at the end of it.
No. Stay woke. Millennials, man. Millennials.
I think I fit in there.
I do too, but I don't claim them.
Yeah, I don't either. I can't.
When I found that out, I was like, do I really have to be a millennial?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad, but I'm almost 32.
I'm going to claim a Steve McRae, and maybe he'd slap me for saying this, but I feel like I'm going to have to claim a Steve McRae right there. And like, even though like I may be classified as like from someone else as a millennial, I don't hold that.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
I'm not sure if he's off the battle.
I will not I don't let him get away with it. I will not let you get away with it either, sir.
Well, would you let yourself get away with it?
I'm different.
All right, so now I got to think and get back on track where we were. Because I'm still thinking about your journey. I'd like to know more about that, but that might be another conversation because I feel like there's so much to it.
How long are your shows usually?
We usually stop at about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we're at the hour and a half mark now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, and I'd like to get through a little bit more.
Sure.
But I would like to talk more about that topic and your journey on it.
Sure.
And I'd really like to talk about it. Maybe even with a few more people who like have more experience. That'd be great. With this, cool. Because I'll let you know because I haven't let anyone know in the community yet. But I think it's more of an interesting topic for me, even though I'm not gay. But because like you, I had a religion that was very much against like gay rights and that it was wrong and that you're gonna burn in hell and it's a choice that you make.
Curious. So, can I ask you? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Then let me go back to playing host here. How did you, if you were against? I can't answer this question because I was gay in a religion that I still thought it was wrong. But you know, when I came out, obviously, when I came out of the religion, I'm gay, so there wasn't anything to kind of reconcile there. Right. How did you do that? Where you go through thinking that it's bad to thinking that it's good? Was it a thing where you just, as soon as you decided that you didn't believe in religion anymore, gay people were okay? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I've never asked anybody that question, but that's curious. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good question. That's kind of what I was getting at is that, I'm a very, like, I have a very humanistic mindset. I think that like, people should like love each other and whatnot. And I feel like that kind of fits in more so like once you drop religion, it's just like, well, that's like, why would that be bad then? If I had the Bible to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't one of those topics I could just drop. It's not easy because, as I'm sure you well know, it's like something you are conditioned to believe and have certain feelings about. Like it's bad, it's icky. So I am more or less like still recovering homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strange because I accept
Recovering homophobic.
Huh?
Recovering homophobic.
Yeah, yeah, I really am. And
Interesting.
yeah, because it's like sometimes I still get the heebie-jeebies more or less, but then I'm like, oh no, get those off because like it's fine. Like I don't really have
Interesting.
a problem with it,
Yeah.
but like I still get like an emotional response, like ooh, hold on, and
That is fascinating.
yeah, yeah,
That is
but
fascinating.
I feel awful for it because I really don't have an issue with it, but it's still an emotional response, and I think it's
I
just
can
because,
call my neighbor over and he can come sit in my lap and we can do the rest of the interview. Would that trigger you?
you know, it might at first, but then I just like I get over it. You know?
At least you're honest about that. I mean that says a lot. And
I try to be.
that's because of religion. If you didn't introduce religion to anybody and it was just part of normal society. The thing is, ultimately, that I have looked at this issue front and back to cover in the Bible. That's the one part of the Bible I know like the back of my hand. They don't, nowhere in the Bible does it really condemn homosexuals. People will tell you that it does, and that's because they have their own agenda, or they are just going as it's been taught through, the ages or whatever. But the instances in the Bible that they're talking about, for the Old Testament example, yeah, mostly. There's a couple other books, but back then they had in a neighboring tribe or city or whatever, they had temple prostitutes that usually were young boys, teenagers. But part of their ceremony to worship their gods, because they had many, you would have sex with these temple prostitutes, and that would be kind of your offering to whatever you were asking for. When God said that he didn't want you to do anything like that other city was doing because he was going to destroy them, that meant everything. In terms of the gods, he didn't want you worshiping them like you do the gods. That same tribe used to cut the sides of their hair. God told his tribe, don't cut the sides of your hair. You had to do the opposite of what this other tribe was. Now, if you think about the people who wrote the Bible, that's a way to keep your city in line, and keep your city from doing what the other city did. Well, that is where that homosexuality stems from, is those acts with the temple prostitutes.
Gotcha.
In the New Testament, there are two words that are in Greek that people nowadays use to translate into homosexual, but they're only used twice in the Bible. And in both times that they use them in the Bible, they say it means homosexual. Those are the only two times that it's used. It's not used in any other kind of context. Well, if you take that word in other Greek manuscripts around the same time, it means in those contexts, in those other manuscripts, it means man with many beds, or somebody that's promiscuous.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, they used it to turn it into homosexuals. And I think when they were doing those translations at that particular time, it was a bad thing to be gay for whatever reason. But back when the Bible was written, cities like, Greece and Rome, or in those countries, there were orgies with, men, women, everybody. It was just a thing back then. And so they were just doing it to kind of set themselves aside from that. But nowhere in the Bible does it actually come out and say, thou shalt not be gay. I'm thinking that if it were important enough to make the top 10, it would be an issue. If God was really that dead set against homosexual, it would have at least made his top 10 list, I think. But no, it was in the same chapter as don't eat lobster, or don't wear clothes that are made of mixed linen. Now, you tell me how serious God was about homosexuality. You hear people tell you that it's an abomination wearing cotton and polyester at the same time. That's how hypocritical these people are.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really good at pointing out one thing.
Sorry for ranting about that, but the gay agenda is just very personal for me.
No, it's all right. The only thing you should apologize is not having ice cream.
I had some earlier, actually, on my way to, I make my own.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I did. That's probably 12 years of my life. I was an executive chef. So, I had this really cool way to make ice cream, and you use Cool Whip, Greek yogurt, and a little bit of cream cheese, and you blend it all up with whatever fruit you want. Like peach, I had blueberry and lavender is what I had today. But you mix up a batch of that and put it in a container and freeze it for 12 hours, and it is heavenly. And half the sugar. So,
that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Well, if I ever make it over that way, I'm gonna have to stop for some ice cream.
Sure can.
Awesome.
Oh, now I live several states away from you.
I think, yeah. Do you live in California?
No, I live in North Carolina. I have a brother that lives in California.
Oh, okay.
My brother. Interestingly enough, my brother is gay also.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Let's go.
My mom got double whammies there.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
Just me and him.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Again, trying to jump back on track where we were. But I definitely do. If you're up for it, I'd like to have another live stream, more on the homosexuality topic. I think that'd be a really fun and fruitful discussion.
That'd be great.
Cool.
Sorry I have keeping you off track all night. I'm a talker. So
no, all right, and I am too. As you can see, I can't help but jump into any good conversation that arises.
My brain goes in 9 different directions, and because it has to, I'm used to. The gears get switched every single night to something new, so that's a reflection of how I think.
That's fair. So yeah, it's just straight up non-sequitur show up here all the time.
Non-sequitur. It's a lifestyle.
And Don's like, and I have to sit here quiet.
Oh, Don. Sorry, Don.
Sorry, Don. Do we have any good questions from the from our audience here? This is telling me we have 8 viewers, but I feel like we have more watching right now.
We have lots of questions, and it's showing 10 viewers for me.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Now, first question is from me. Kyle, what is it like working with someone as sexy as Steve?
It's unbearable at times. I cannot help myself but try to leap through the screen at any moment. It's just it's the biggest distraction ever. I don't know how I make it through a stream.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep a straight face. Is it working?
Close enough.
Okay, Zero is wanting to know your view on homosexuality, but you touched on that already. And plus,
touched on that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And you guys are going to do another stream. It's going to really dive into that, which I think is awesome.
I'd like to. That'd be cool.
Okay, Jen wants to know you personally here.
I'll be right back.
Where's your accent from?
It is North Carolina, Jen. And it used to be a lot worse. I used to really drag out and take my time with words. But I went off to college, and the fraternity that I pledged, a lot of the guys there were from Massachusetts. So I think that it kind of died off being around them for so long. But every now and then it will creep back. Absolutely.
Right on. And she loves your pine tree and elephant poster.
Oh yeah.
And wondering if it's available on a hoodie.
Funny story. We actually did a t-shirt campaign with them. We are launching June the 1st, the non-sec store. It will have a lot of the like the graphics and stuff that we do from shows. I do all of those. So some of our favorites we're gonna put onto various things, and I will be more than happy to make one of those a hoodie. I'll actually write that down right now.
Oh, she'll
Yes.
be very happy.
I was actually going to ask you after the live stream if you could have any of that artwork just put in like a little poster or something, and I would hang that up on my wall.
Yeah. I plan to my full-time job that I do outside of Non-Sequitur, although that feels like a full-time job at times. I also pull about 45 to 50 hours a week at I do graphic design for a construction company, and I was actually just playing around and took the thumbnails off of 2 shows that we did and printed them off on the Blueprint printer that
Awesome.
that we have at work. So that's what those are. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Don, you keep going.
Right. And Jen also wants to know your favorite hobby.
Hobby, I don't have one now. my entire life is consumed with work, and Non-Sequitur I would say would be my hobby. YouTubing, if that's a word. YouTubing.
Could you count making ice cream as a hobby?
That's a necessity. I don't think I'm as a hobby.
My bad.
Zero wants to know, can you draw a red triangle?
A red triangle?
I don't know what he's referencing, but
can it be black?
I don't know.
Because I can do I can draw a black triangle. 0.
Illuminati confirmed.
Look, I never denied it, okay? No one just ever asked.
Jen wants to know how you met Steve.
I saw him on YouTube, and I just fell right then, and I just had to know. I watched the debates that through the great debate community, mostly G-Man. I was watching a Christopher Hitchens debate one time, and it auto played into a debate that G-Man had with Redline, and I remember thinking, "Oh, that's interesting." Amateur people doing debates, I didn't know it was a thing, so I kept watching and watching and watching, and I started getting this idea. I had always wanted to do something on YouTube. Now, originally, I wanted to do a documentary series where I was going to take these people, like G-Man and Reds and all that, and kind of interview them and do a, like VH1 did with Behind the Music, but do kind of a behind the debate scene and interview these people, kind of get where they were coming from, who they were outside of what you saw on YouTube. And I approached Steve, since he is the owner of the Great Debate G+ community, and said, "This is what I'm thinking. What do you think?" And then we just kept going back and forth talking about some things, and then we decided to make it into a podcast. Well, let's interview these people together on a podcast thing, and then that morphed into what we do now. So I approached him originally to do a documentary on the Great Debate community.
Awesome. That's quite a success story, because show's doing quite well.
Yeah, it like I said, we are definitely fortunate and appreciative and humbled. Really, I mean, it's some of the greatest things that you can get are people telling you that they enjoy watching what you do, and that you're their favorite YouTube channel. I mean, that's really humbling that people take the time out of their day to spend it with you. Of all the things they could be doing, they choose to follow and watch, and that's humbling.
Yeah, I can see you being humbled by it. Steve is humbled as well.
I didn't say that.
I'm joking. I love Steve.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. I think we are a great team because we agree on nothing, ever. We constantly are going back and forth about everything, and we're a lot alike in that.
An atheist or not?
Oh well, we're a lot alike in that way. I will argue about anything, and so will he, and it winds up working because of the dynamic. You know, we just have completely different. Even during the show, you'll see that a lot of times we will argue about just something that one of the guests says, and then you'll have us two kind of going back and forth about that. But it works. You know, it's not we don't disagree about the vision and the direction of the show. We just disagree about the different issues that comes on the show. And then afterwards, you know, just like it never happened. But it's healthy to be able to have a disagreement and continue to work together. Like, I think that's where our success lies, is our ability to disagree, but agree on the stuff that matters.
Right. So Jen wants to know your worst habit.
Oh, man. Being fabulous.
That's the best.
Okay, that I can see. Yeah.
Just kidding. My worst habit would probably be my procrastination. I'm a heavy procrastinator. I know that I have a lot of stuff to get done. Like for example, the shows that we do, I do a different, obviously, thumbnail, graphic, and a layout for each show. Like, each show has its own layout. And interestingly enough, by the way, each thumbnail has its own little Easter egg in each thumbnail. I took something originally, split it into a certain number of pieces, and I put each piece into every thumbnail that we do, so that anyone down the line that can catch on to it can piece the things together and get something really cool. But the layouts that we do, they're all different every show. So I'm literally sending Dave, or Frankie, both those guys produce the show for us, but I'm literally sending them the layout 20 minutes before we're supposed to be live on the air. It stresses both of them out, but I say each time, I'm going to do it tonight and get it to you first thing in the morning, and that never happens. So they know just to say, yeah, okay, all right, we'll see it 20 minutes before showtime.
And you did Godless Craniums and Shannon Q's new layout too, didn't you?
I did, yes, I did. I actually did all of their both times, the first one and this new one. Yeah. Right
on. Thank you for sharing your abilities with the community.
Oh yeah, that's what we're here for. It's fun for me. I don't procrastinate when it comes to other people. I try to get them their stuff. It's only when it comes to our thing, and that's just because I lose track of time. I get busy and lose track of time.
Right. Do you have any pets?
I do. I have a pug named Archie.
Has Archie ever been on the show?
He hasn't. I need to bring him. I need to bring him on. He is the cutest thing on the planet. He's enormous. Like, he's massively overweight. And that's only because I have a really soft spot for animals, and anytime he looks at me while I'm eating something, I can't not give him some of it. But yeah, he's overweight, but the best friend a man could have, no doubt.
All right. And will Archie ever replace Steve on the show?
Anytime Archie is ready to take that seat, Steve knows that he's got to go. 100%.
All right. And Jen wants to know last book you read.
The last book I read, listen to me. You can tell that these every night streams are taking their toll. The last book that I read was The Alchemist, which is a fabulous book. If you have not read it, you need to. It's about a prince that goes on a journey to find a treasure and winds up finding something more. There's a lot of parallels, I think, with life in that book, but fantastic book.
Right on. Fenner wants to know, what color is your energy?
A rainbow.
A rainbow.
Yeah. My energy goes all over the place. I am I'm very mellow. I'm very stoic at times. I don't panic. I don't get really worked up. But when I do get worked up, I get really worked up and kind of blank out. But I don't panic because of the years that I spent as a executive chef. When you're in a busy restaurant and it's 9 o'clock on a Friday night and you've got 300 people coming in, and you're in a 900-degree kitchen with 11 people around you in a tight space with fire and steam and heat and grills everywhere, you can't panic or you'll die back there. So that taught me to kind of keep my cool under stressful situations. So yeah, I'd say my energy is a rainbow. It runs the spectrum.
Okay. Now, Zero doesn't want me to use his name, so I won't.
Okay.
So it's not Zero. Wants to know why you look like a bargain bin Bradley Cooper.
Bargain bin Bradley Cooper. The fact that you said that I look somewhat like Bradley Cooper, you're my new favorite person. I'll take bargain bin Bradley Cooper any day. So yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely.
Flo J wants to know if you would say what or how you lost the weight.
How I lost weight? I remember me going back to that Coke thing. Kidding. That was a joke. Come on, that was a joke. I tried everything. I tried a lot of the low fat diets, anything you can imagine. I tried Atkins, all that stuff. Where I really started losing the weight was when you cut sugar out of your diet, sugar and a lot of the refined carbs. So breads, basically anything good and that has taste to it, throw it out, and you'll lose weight. Yep. Stick with nasty vegetables and protein, and you'll be fine. But yeah, once you cut out sugar, I used to be a really heavy sweet tea drinker. I mean, that's all I would drink, and just cutting that out alone, I mean, the weight just melts off of you. So if you take sugar out and carbs, you'll be good to go.
That's true. Cool. This one is for Mac, actually. Fenrir says if you want to work on your homophobic tendencies that's been kind of instilled in you, he says make out with a couple dudes. That'll fix it.
How far away did you say you were from North Carolina?
Oh, I don't know, just like 10 hours.
You have to agree, Kyle, that Mac is looking pretty sharp tonight, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. You guys should.
He looks handsome. Are you getting triggered yet?
No, not yet. No, my friends and I have
made out.
Play game. Yeah, basically. No, we we would play gay a lot, just fuck with each other.
Huh? What? Go on.
Go on.
Did you kiss?
No, we didn't kiss. No, we didn't.
What does play gay mean? I'm interested.
Just like we would just play flirt with each other, more or less.
Oh! I had a completely way more fucked up view of what you're talking about here.
No, I guess play flirt would probably be the best way.
Gotcha. Well, that's G-rated stuff. I was looking for more.
Yeah. At least a little bit of soft porn in there.
No, there wasn't a lot of soft porn in there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to disappoint.
Damn it.
I mean, if you watch me in any live chat I go into, Don always points me out whenever I say anything. Last night, they were talking about polyamory, and Caitlin Chloe is saying how she is not interested in it because she's in a happy relationship with John. And then Don's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't just turn that away. Maybe you shouldn't close the door on that because maybe you might like it ready. So then I jump in the live chat real quick because I heard that. I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm just like, hey, Caitlin, tell John my body is ready. Whenever I have a chance.
Oh, hell.
Whenever I have a chance, I jump in there. I'll flirt with anyone. but for some reason,
Oh yeah,
it's so like I'd be the last person you would expect to be any kind of homophobic. By the way, I am.
My mind is going in like 9 million directions right now. I don't know about you guys out there, but yeah.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, definitely bad. Yeah. Bad in a good way. Bad in a good way.
Yeah.
It's good. Bad. I like that bad.
Fenrir wants to point out about what you said about what the Bible says about homosexuals.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to point out G-Man disagrees.
Oh, well, I will get myself in church and I will straighten up and I will make sure that next time G-Man fully approves with my view on what the Bible says about homosexuality. Because we all know that he is the final authority on that. And
they should probably just make him the next pope.
I thought he already was.
Fenrir does have a more serious question here. Do your parents feel like they did something wrong having a gay son?
No, they had two.
Well,
yeah,
actually, you did say two. Yeah.
Now, that's just because I got lucky. I know that my story when I came out, I didn't lose anybody. I didn't have anybody look at me in my family different, but I just got lucky. That's not the case for most people, but no, they love it. You know, my mom has two people that will go shopping with her anytime and you know help her do anything that way. So she's loving it. She couldn't be happier.
That's awesome.
Cool. That is awesome. I have a gay brother, and my mom was super awesome about it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't change her ways at all. My dad was him and I were drinking one evening, and it came up, and he said, I have to love him because he's my son, but I think it's sick.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
And I'm like, no, you don't have to love him. But if you don't love him for who he is, then you need to get out of his life.
It's a tough thing to deal with. I tend to have a little bit more sympathy for the parents in certain situations if they are, you know, indoctrinated to the point where that's where it's stemming from. If it's from a religious place, then I think that with a little bit of time, all that stuff kind of falls away, you know, because they do realize it is their son, and that ultimately it's not going to be like an Abraham thing where you're going to be willing to sacrifice your son for that's just not human nature. Unfortunately, sometimes it does go that way, and that's tough. That keeps a lot of people from coming out for that very reason, and that's unfortunate. And there's no easy way or answer to be there. Like, you can't tell somebody not to be who they are because they could risk losing their parents, but then again, you can't tell them to risk losing their parents. So it's a rock and a hard place. It's unnecessary. Like, it doesn't need to be that way. It shouldn't be that way, and it's sad that it is. But I mean, that's just
well. Reality is, my friend works with teenagers that's on the street,
mm-hmm.
and in the city I live in, they did a study on it, and it's 7% of the teenagers that's on the street are on the street because their parents wouldn't allow them in the house after they came out as being gay or trans.
Yep. There are I did an interview for our podcast with a guy named Nick Fager, and he runs a kind of like a shelter for that very thing for LGBTQ teens that get kicked out And the numbers are astonishing, and it's sad. And you have to kind of tip your hat to those people who are brave enough to come out despite that. And all you can do is encourage them and, you know, donate to people like Nick Fager's Lighthouse. That's the name of it, Lighthouse. So that these guys can get those kind of resources and get back on their feet, because at least they're choosing to be who they are. You know, that's the looking back, I wish I would have made that same decision. So in a way, I envy them their bravery, because I certainly didn't have it.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard it would be. But another thing we can do, and it's something I'm trying to do, and it's not just with homosexuality, but with all sorts of taboo topics. I just want to get the word out, try to get rid of some of the misconceptions and get the truth out there, make it more normalized, so to speak. So, yeah, the more we talk about it, the better it will be.
You know how you can do that the easy way, though?
How's that?
Get rid of religion.
That's not easy.
Yeah, did you just say the easy way?
Okay, last question is going to go to Glow J. Is your brother in media as well?
No, my brother's in real estate. Although he moved out to LA about 5 years ago. This is a really cool story. He moved out to LA, and he was working at a restaurant, and Carmen Electra came in and was at his table. So they got to talking, and she told him that she was looking for an assistant and for him to come interview for it. And so he did. He got the job, and for about 2.5 years, he was Carmen Electra's assistant, which was really cool.
That would be cool.
He actually made it in the UK, the Daily Mail UK's thing. She was getting out of her car at a hotel, and some paparazzi were out there, but they snapped a photo of her, but my brother's in the back, like picking her suitcase up out of the car. So that was like his big moment. But yeah, he does real estate over there in LA now. He left working for her and opened up a real estate thing.
Right on. Well, that's it for me then. I'll
Cool.
go back to being muted so Matt can finish up. It was nice talking to you, Kyle.
You as well. And thank you for the questions, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much. And Zero, I just saw your comment, and you'll now all be surprised, because Zero said, "I bet at Matt Clark always lost the gay off," and I'll have you know, I almost always won. So,
what does that mean?
Just like there was one time in specific that me and my friends were all going to Cedar Point the next morning. So we had like 6, 7, 8 of us all stay up in my attic.
That sounds like a fun time.
So, yeah. A bunch of my guy friends just all up in one room, camping out together, half naked.
Go on.
And my one of my friends, the wiliest one, who also just saw himself as the biggest alpha male, decided to take his shirt off and come lay down on the bed and just kind of stare at me.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? And then he just like really kind of got in close and just kind of giggled and just like, what's, and him and his brother like to like play with you, and they're like, okay, I think you're trying to make me uncomfortable.
Oh.
So I just took my shirt off too.
Oh my.
And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he like moved in. So like, I guess this is what you would call a gay off. and eventually I'm just like, I'm not going to lose this power struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself. So I just like took my pants off, and he's like, okay. And he like hopped off. I'm like, yes, I win. He's like, I just wanted the bet. I'm like, I know you did. You can have it, by the way.
I feel like I need a cigarette now.
Climax. So I have just a couple more questions for you.
Well, I do too. If we're ever in the same vicinity together, I challenge you to a gay off.
I think you'd win. I think you win.
Let's find out.
All right. Since we're towards the end of our conversation, I think I want to ask about the end of the world. Do your branch of Baptists believe in rapture?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
What scripture do you guys use to justify that belief?
Somewhere in Revelation.
Somewhere in Revelation. Okay. Okay. And then somewhere, I was trying to find it, but I can't find it right now. In Corinthians, it says that something like, be warned that there will be a time of false prophets where people are speaking of end times, which is like all the time. Like in the last 2,000 years, it's always the end times.
Never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. Not that there's like date setters or anything, but they'll be speaking of the end times. But know that the false Messiah comes first. And
Antichrist?
Huh?
Antichrist?
Yes, the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So my religion always took that as it will literally be Satan coming out of like the gates of hell, basically, as Jesus Christ.
That's weird.
And like posing as Jesus Christ to deceive you all.
That's strange.
Right?
Very.
I mean, it's strange to everyone else, but this is like normal to me.
You thought gay people were weird?
Right. So yeah, it's one that me growing up, like I've heard this since I was like 4 years old. It's so odd to me that no one else sees this as there isn't rapture, because if there's a rapture going on, that's Satan trying to be like, hey, come on guys, let's go. And then Jesus comes back and then he's like, what the hell are you doing? I told you I was coming after the Antichrist. You're supposed to know that.
Is that like a got you? Like a, you know, is that like the God's testing you to see how many people fall for the fake Jesus? That's kind of fucked up.
But yeah, basically. But it's one of those things where the apologist in me would be like, no, I mean, you're supposed to read it. You're just supposed to know that. There shouldn't have been a gotcha. But that's the best way for the devil to deceive you, is not look like the devil.
Well, ask the apologist in you why Jesus can't just kill the devil. You know, if he has control over everything and he can strike down anybody at any time, and he did that before, if he's willing to slay an entire race of people, the Amalekites, why not just chop the head off the fucking snake in the Garden of Eden and just be done with it? No original sin, no nothing.
Right. Well, because you just have to go through this whole test. They're supposed to. No, we're going to get too far into my religion. I can't answer all these yet.
There wouldn't be a text to get into if he'd have just cut the head off the snake in the beginning.
Yeah,
none of it would have ever happened.
That would mess with people's free will, more or less. And it has to play out so everyone can see that God gave everyone a fair chance in the world, how it had to play out.
But that would have meant that God knew letting that snake in that garden would cause that, when he could have just flipped the snake out of the garden and not even mess with anybody's free will and just let him go on with life.
Right. You would think.
But he didn't. He chose to fuck with people.
He did. And that's why I don't like him. But that would have been my answers.
Well, you can't not like anything that doesn't exist, Mac.
Say what?
You can't not like anything that doesn't exist.
It's true.
Do you not like Santa Claus?
No, I think I think I do like Santa Claus, or the idea of Santa Claus.
Interesting you say
I
that.
like the idea of Santa Claus. I don't like the idea of God.
Interesting you say that, because the next crazy person that I'm working on, did you know that in America alone, there are roughly 3,000 adults that genuinely believe that Santa Claus exists?
That's a little bit fantastic to me, just because
I have found one.
Say what?
And I have found one.
You have found one? Out of 3,000 in the U.S., you found one.
Reddit, you can find anybody that believes anything you want to, but I'm trying to convince him to come on the show to have a discussion on whether or not Santa Claus exists. So, any Christians out there, if you're watching, please pray that this happens. Thank you.
Did you do this because Steve McRae brought this up like a month or so ago?
Partly, but I did it mostly because we were. It was actually in the geek room. We were talking to Brother Ernest, and this guy doesn't believe that Bruce Lee existed. He believes that was a hoax. So I got to thinking, like, how, if you're crazy enough to believe, he also believes that Jews were behind 9/11, that Jesus was not a Jew, that every crackpot theory that you can think of, this guy believes. And me and Rags were debating him on the Geek Room yesterday. And if you can convince yourself that Bruce Lee doesn't exist, I was thinking, what's crazier than thinking that Bruce Lee didn't exist? And I just landed on Santa Claus, because that's the thing where you go through life. Eventually, you're told that he doesn't exist.
Uh-huh.
That means you have to go back into somehow believing that he exists. And how does that happen? And I'm interested. I want to know, where does that kind of, I don't know. I'm scared to do it on one sense, but I feel like I have to. I feel like it's my job.
I'm with you though, because that sounds interesting, and I don't know if that's just cringe because I enjoy that, but
it's super cringe.
Yeah, it's because it's interesting.
You and your alpha male friend can feel free to watch it with your shirts off. I think you might enjoy that better. Just send a picture. It didn't happen.
There you go. Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be one fun thing to watch.
Fun for you.
Fun for me. Yeah. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Well, I'm not sorry because we
all have our cross to bear.
Yeah. Yes, this is true. It's true. So I think the last question I have for you then is, what happens after the rapture? Do you believe in hell? What happens to people who don't believe after?
Yes, I believe in hell. Hell is hell is getting enough money on an Amazon gift card and being sent to a computer that loads half the page for eternity. That is worse than burning alive, I think. Absolutely.
Right.
That would be my version of hell. Rapture. If I'm answering as a theist, then yes, hell exists. Hell is hot. There's gnashing of teeth and all that other scary stuff. The Left Behind series was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in youth group. The idea of driving down a road and all of a sudden the bus driver and all the cars next to you, the people were just going out of them and steering out of control, and people vanishing, their clothes being left. Interesting thing. I didn't know this until we were doing an episode with Brilliant Doubt a couple weeks ago, where we went through the things that this guy who's got 250,000 subs, and I forget his channel name, but he did a video where the 10 things you're going to do in heaven based on what the Bible says. And so he goes through the 10 things that, according to the Bible, you'll get to do when you go to heaven. The first one was you get to build your dream house. Jesus will walk down the streets of gold with you, kind of like a real estate agent, and show you which houses you have to choose from to live your life. You'll worship God every day. But the interesting thing was that it talks about you won't be in your bodily form anymore. You'll be a soul. So it doesn't matter what age that you died at, you'll be a new, invigorated soul that gets to go to heaven. But then the next to the last thing that he said that you'll do in heaven is that everyone's vegan, that you only eat vegan in heaven. So if you are not a body, if you are a soul, and so you don't have organs, so you don't have a stomach, so you don't have things that need, those kind of nutrients, why the hell are you eating vegan in heaven? And why does veganism have anything to do with heaven? That I would think would reside in hell if we were going to be parsing things that way. So, yeah.
That's the best point you made all night.
I'm glad. Although that means that if the opposite's true, that means that beef and meat are in hell, which also sucks because you can never get a medium rare steak. They'll always be well done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awfully sad. That's the bad part of hell.
Yep. It's true though. Vegan in heaven. Yay.
Always burnt bacon.
And
you have a question right there in the side chat.
Huh?
Oh, you have a question there in the side chat.
I'm not reading it. Hold on.
No, that's fine. Ben Rare is asking if you thought any more on the topic of mankind's advancement through war.
In what way?
That's what I'm wondering.
Don, you just want to come over in the air and ask me?
Sure. He says he mentioned it to you before, and it's a topic for the show.
Who is it?
Ben, the God Eater.
For being a topic of the show. Yeah, I think that's the I sent a thing out on Reddit, and there's one other thread that was on a WordPress thing. The hard thing is just like with the gun debate, I can't get anybody that's willing to come on and take the negative side. I have plenty of people that'll take the positive, but and I mean there are people that'll take the negative side, but the people that respond are usually just either trolling or just really bad people you don't want to put out there. But I do have that down on my list because I think it's an interesting topic. But if you're asking me personally, what I think about the advancement through war, can you be a little bit more specific by what you mean by that?
Maybe that's something that you two could chat about on Twitter or something.
Sure, just tell him to message me. I'll be glad to answer. But I am working on it. Yes, I have not forgot about that.
Okay, cool. And that's it for me.
All right. Thank you again, Don.
Yep.
All right. Well, I have. Do you have just a few more minutes, and we'll see if we just make it to 1:30 then, or 1:30 my time? Wait, we're in the same time zone, aren't we?
Yeah. What time is it now?
1:30, 1:23.
Oh yeah, we can go to 1:30.
All right, cool. I wanted to hear your apologetics for the literal interpretations in the Bible, if you have any. Because if you just have the, but we haven't talked about it or whatnot in church, that's fine too. I'm just curious.
I don't have a thing. I was never a like a staunch defender. You know what I mean? Like I believed what I believed and didn't really. To be honest with you, I didn't care anything about. It was what I believed.
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept that for me. I didn't go after people who didn't, because ultimately I knew that I was different myself. You know what I mean? Like I was being gay. I knew that something was off. I think subconsciously that I needed to get myself right before I started trying to preach to somebody else. And so my personal struggle was always the gay thing. I needed to fix that before I could ever even come close to telling other people what they, could do or what they should believe.
Right. And that's fair, and that makes sense. And because I feel like I don't know how much I defended either. Like I didn't get into a lot of debates when I was a Christian. I mostly stayed out of it. Every now and then, if I did come across a couple atheists and they really questioned my beliefs, but my beliefs were so different from other Christians But you're like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know how to argue it. So I guess I don't know. So I'm just like, yes, I guess I win. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe.
Satan dressing up for Halloween like Jesus and coming out of hell to fool people. That's
pretty
unique. I'll put it that way. That's unique. What faith were you again?
Christian.
Like what kind?
We just said Christian. Because Christian means man of Christ.
But you didn't have like the name of your church didn't have a denomination attached to it?
Nope. And that always threw everyone else off again.
Did they speak in tongues?
Nope. I was asked that a lot too. So is it non-denominational? I'm like, I guess. They're like, so you speak in tongues? No. Just Christians.
Never thought I would see the day that independent Baptists kind of made sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting into it sometime, but I don't want to do it on someone else's interview time. So, whenever you guys want a real non-sequitur, maybe that's a good time.
I was going to ask you, maybe we should have you on for a. I'll send you a message about an idea I've got.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, if Don has no more questions, I think I'm done interrogating you. I don't know
Can we take our shirts off now?
I'm sorry?
Can we take our shirts off now?
Yeah, now's the time. Because I actually do have shorts on. I have a nice dress shirt and shorts on, and my flash socks.
I do that. I do that half the time that I'm sitting here doing the non-sequitur show. I'm in my boxer briefs for sure.
There you go.
Most of the time, that's why you never see me get up to if there's ever an emergency where I have to get up to either let somebody in or something like that, I'm screwed on camera. Absolutely.
You know what's happening though?
Huh?
Half your fans are saying, "Oh no, I didn't need to know that," and the other half are saying, "Oh, Kyle, please stand up."
That's excellent. Thank you those who wanted me to stand up, and for the rest of you, I expect better from you. I expected better from you.
For real. All right. Well, double checking the live chat. And I see Glow said my name. I'm not sure why. Well, thank you everyone for staying to the end. This was a real nice long chat. Thank you, Kyle, for making time to come over to my small channel and have a really nice, really cool discussion with me.
You're doing great work, and it is. You can definitely tell that you are improving like crazy because you sound confident. You sound a lot more confident now than I watched your first video. I always like to do that. I always like to go back and watch people's first video and then where they're at now. It's something that I like to. I do that to myself too. I sound 10 times more confident than I did on my first stream. But you really get to see how people kind of find their voice, and when they find it, that's a really cool thing. So it took me several episodes to finally find mine, but yeah, you're doing great work. Great interviews. I love KC. I'm obsessed with KC.
She's awesome.
She's my her and Shannon are my two spirit animals in this community.
I concur.
But yeah, great stuff. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Happy to be a part. Thank you for asking me to come out. I had a lot of fun.
I'm very, very glad. So hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. After June 10th, I'm going to be making a couple of small changes, big changes in my personal life. So I might have a little more time. So I should be a little more open to stuff.
Big changes are good.
Yeah, absolutely. So it should free up some time, and I'm hoping to give a little bit of that time to my channel.
Good deal.
Cool. Well, again, thank you, Don, for being in the live chat, being my liaison. And Thank you, live chat, for sticking around and watching, and thanks everyone else who watches this whole stream later on. Thanks, Kyle, and hopefully I can talk to you all again soon.
You certainly will. Thanks, guys.
Everyone, have a good night.
Bye.